22 minutes past 3. Let's talk potholes, shall we? We all hate them, but we talk about them a lot. But what do you do when you hit one? Do you report it by letting the council know, or do you just curse under your breath and continue with your day? Or are you like Shane Tench, a business owner, who takes to social media to post funny videos of the potholes in Crewe, including one of him lying in a pothole, and this footage where he put some rubber ducks in a water-filled hole.
As you all know, potholes in our town in Crewe is absolutely horrendous. But I have come up with a genius idea. So this pothole, what I'm going to show you now, was actually reported on the 4th of this month. With how dangerous this pothole is, it is right in the middle of a road where cars park on both sides. There is no way to actually avoid it. This is really deep. So, my idea is to make potholes look more pretty. Quack. These ducks are having the time of their lives.
Oh, my goodness. He's been telling us how it all started.
There's a regeneration in our town, what's on this basically wasteland where we meant to get this new fancy shopping department. Obviously, that fell through. So then we basically started getting got to get these park benches and like picnic area. So the video started with that, and then basically we started hearing from a lot of members of our community about the potholes and the conditions of the roads. So then I just thought, you know what, we'll just go and do a little video. Just lie down in a pothole, make it a little bit funny, and then it's just basically gone from there. So, and obviously we're continuing to raise other issues, but at the moment the issues that we're hearing about a lot from people who live in our town is about the potholes and the conditions of the road.
People have also planted flowers in it, but if you can lie down in it, how long and deep is this pothole? And I don't know about you, some roads near me are just a bit like a slalom course trying to avoid these things. But if the pothole we're talking about is in the middle of the road, how many people would have damaged their vehicles going over it? It's not just in Crewe that potholes are becoming a problem. It's affecting the whole country. Scott Dixon is a consumer and motoring disputes expert and the complaints resolver and joins me now. How are you, Scott?
I'm good, Tony. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Now, are potholes the biggest complaint for the public?
They are, particularly at this time of year. And, you know, apparently the RAC have seen a 15% increase in the number of drivers suffering pothole-related breakdowns. And they recently reported that council pothole claims are up 90% in 3 years. And the RAC submitted freedom of information requests to 177 councils. And 172 councils refused more than 9 in 10 of all claims. And Gloucestershire, Worcestershire, Medway, and Carmarthenshire, and Telford, they turned down 99% of all claims received in 2024.
Wow.
So, and you can't tell me that the roads are like billiard tables for them to refuse 99% of all claims.
Wow. But the rise in claims then suggests is the problem getting worse? The state of our roads, they're getting worse?
It is, and whilst road funding has been underfunded for years, a huge part of the problem is utility firms digging up the roads and not reinstating them properly. So you find trenches that are often not sealed properly at the edges, so water gets in, freezes, expands, breaks the road up and creates more potholes. And councils are not consistently checking or enforcing these repairs to recharge the work back to the contractors, so taxpayers end up footing the bill as well. And I've always said if potholes were repaired properly to the correct specification and criteria set out in council policies, there would be more money available to repair more potholes. And I think we've all seen how some of the potholes are repaired or not, as the case may be.
But then what do they put then in their reply? These councils are refusing more than 90% of claims. What's their reasoning for refusing the claim?
Well, they rely on claims handlers, which are effective loss adjusters, and the default position that every highway authority and the claims handlers will take is that they can only be held liable for potholes that have been reported and cannot be held responsible for every pothole on the road. And whilst that stance may hold water on the face of it, in reality, local authorities do have a legal statutory duty of care to maintain the roads and inspect them regularly. And claims handlers do work in cahoots with local authorities to reject legitimate pothole claims. That is their sole purpose. They're not independent third parties. And they do work from scripts and default answers to reject claims and hope that you just give up on the first attempt. And the most popular one is there were no reports received about the defect before the incident. In other words, they just didn't know about it. And they just rely on different paragraphs just to reject all claims. And you cannot rely on them, on the claims handlers or the councils to tell you the truth. I've found that out firsthand, personally with pothole claims.
So is it best if you're going to claim to do it yourself rather than going through somebody else to put in that claim for you?
Yeah, and the first thing you need to do is obviously you need to report it. So if you hit a pothole and you believe it's damaged your vehicle, you need to report it as soon as possible. And you can do that via Fix My Street, but you can also go onto that website to see how many times that pothole has been reported, to see if the council were aware of it before you hit it.
Yeah, so are they checking this site then as well, or is it best to actually report the pothole directly to the council?
You can either report it direct to the council or you can report it via Fix My Street. Most of the local authorities use Fix My Street to report for potholes to be reported on, but you can report them direct to the local authority as well. And take photos if possible to evidence your claim. And if it's safe to do so, put maybe a bottle of water or a can of Coke in to measure the depth, because it's not the width of the pothole that matters, it's the depth that's crucial. And you will be asked to provide a sketch with your claim to pinpoint the pothole, because there's that many on the roads that they need to know which one that you're referring to. And get an estimate for the cost of repairs and provide a copy receipt for the damage caused. And this is the crucial part, Tony. Submit a Freedom of Information request. And what you need to ask for is the inspection records for the past 12 months, all reports received relating to any road defects within the past 12 months, to include details regarding action taken on each report, and the temporary and permanent repair specification and criteria, and copies of the works orders to identify how the pothole was repaired. And it's a process of elimination. What you're trying to do is pinpoint liability to get the money that you're due to be paid out.
So what do you make of Shane's ideas for highlighting the severity of these potholes?
And yeah, I mean, it is humorous, but it highlights a real problem, Tony. And these potholes are not just a nuisance; they are a danger to life, especially at this time of year for cyclists. And it's been reported in the media, cyclists suffering life-changing injuries and death. And the roads are definitely getting worse. There's no denying it. And whilst the winter weather excuse is often trotted out, icy weather isn't unusual in the UK. I mean, it happens every year. And road maintenance systems and inspections should be designed with that in mind.
Sure. Scott, thank you so much for your insight. That's Scott Dixon, a consumer and motoring disputes expert and the complaints resolver. A spokesperson from Cheshire East Council said heavy rain and freezing conditions mean that it's normal to see an increase in the number of potholes and road surface issues being reported at this time of year. This isn't unique to Cheshire East. It's a challenge that all councils face. Our aim is to carry out permanent repairs on road defects, but sometimes that's not possible due to factors such as the weather conditions. Some of the repairs we make are temporary to make sure that the road is safe. These repairs may not be visually pleasing, but they're reasonably durable and most importantly, keep the network safe. After making a location safe, we review it to determine the most appropriate longer-term solution, and once volumes reduce later in the year, we'll return to our normal standards of permanent repairs. To help tackle the potholes that arise at this time of year, we're doing additional smaller scale works in February and March. This will address key issues until our main surfacing programmes start in the spring and summer. If you see a pothole, report it to us online via trace.cheshireeast.gov.uk and we'll assess it and repair it if it meets our criteria. If it meets the criteria, but it's a hole in the road. That could be dangerous. Whenever you've reported a pothole, how quickly has it been repaired? If you hit a pothole recently, how much was that repair? What was the damage? Must be awful, but think, if you're on four wheels, think of how it affects people who are on two. It'd just be absolutely dreadful. It doesn't bear thinking about, does it? But yeah, potholes